Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Town of Oakville, special council meeting of the Town of Oakville Council. Madam Clerk, do we have any regrets for this evening?
Yes, tonight we have regrets from Councillor Khan.
Thank you. Council, do you have any declarations of pecuniary interest? Thank you. There are no consent items, and our first discussion item is ratification of the Unifor 1256 contract. And I'm going to ask you to give your attention to the town manager, Mr. Ray Green.
Thank you, Mayor Burton. As member of council are aware, we began negotiations with Unifor, which represents our transit workers, in late December. We negotiated for about 3 to 4 days during that period. Early in January, both parties met with the provincial conciliator and to mediate a new contract. That was unsuccessful. The Minister of Labour issued in mid-January what is called a no board report and set a deadline of I think it was just January 31st for the two parties to reach agreement, at which time we could have the potential of a strike or a lockout. We went through very intense negotiations during the last week of January, in fact all 5 days, and we reached a settlement with Unifor on the last day of the prescribed period. Contained within the your confidential item tonight are the particulars of the settlement. The settlement, when we look at what has been agreed to in there, you will see that it is in line with what we have done with other employee groups throughout the town. And one of the things that we spent a lot of time looking at were the other transit operations throughout the GTA area. And our position that we've landed in is an equitable position compared to our various comparators out there. We're certainly not on the high side, but we're in the market. And of course, one of the interests here is ensuring that we can attract and retain employees, and I believe the settlement does that.
So, Mr. Green, would you say that when we negotiate with transit, we have to have an eye to the market for transit drivers as opposed to a more general look at the labor market? You have to go to a particular sector of the labor market?
Yes, it's a very well defined sector. If you look at general wage increases, you will see things in the public sector that range from about just over 1%, probably up to 2 and a bit on an annual basis. And in the case of transit, though, we are able to specifically look at what is happening in the transit market.
And so what you're reporting to council is that this settlement is in the middle of the pack of transit settlements.
That's correct, and the hourly wage that we're looking at is competitive within the marketplace, and over the period of the life of the contract would remain competitive.
Okay, thank you. Council, do any of you have any other questions about this settlement? Would anyone like to move the report? Councillor Dudek is moving. Councillor Damoth is seconding. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any? And with that vote, the agreement with Unifor is ratified, and we can now make public the details of the agreement. And I trust that, Mr. Green, you'll look after that.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Council and Mr. Green. Now on to item 2, which is growing the Greenbelt. First, Council, I want to call your attention to the large print version of the resolution which I've put in front of you, which corrects a couple of typos, not all, and the map on the small type version. So you need the large type resolution and you need the map from the other one. And with that, I will give you my verbal report. The protection of the natural heritage system within the town of Oakville has been and continues to be a priority for this council. The town's own natural heritage system is itself a major accomplishment. After our local success, the region of Halton was also successful in the approval of the region's enhanced natural heritage system. In creating our NHSs to protect our environmental lands and green spaces, this council and the Halton Council have been determined to achieve the highest possible level of protection. Together, we have seen the provincial Greenbelt Plan as an opportunity to recognize our Oakville NHS at a provincial level if the protection provided by the Greenbelt Plan was as good as provided by our natural heritage system. Because the province amended its Greenbelt Plan to create a new urban river valley designation that sustains our higher local level of protection on natural heritage system lands, it allowed us to add a provincial level of protection to our NHS without losing any of the strength of our NHS protections. And we did that in Glenorchy. Other municipalities are now also taking advantage of the urban river valley designation that was created for our expansion of the Greenbelt in Glenorchy. Mississauga is currently exploring the potential for their natural areas to be included in the province's Greenbelt. The urban river valley designation in the Greenbelt Plan is only for publicly owned lands and ensures they will continue to be used for natural heritage, green, and open spaces and cannot be sold off for other uses. The one last area of our town being studied for urban uses is perhaps the best place yet for use of the urban river valley designation. The publicly owned lands on the 14-mile creek from Upper Middle Road to the Queen Elizabeth Way are well positioned to be the next expansion of the Ontario Greenbelt via the urban river valley designation. Now, any request to add lands to the Greenbelt must be made by the region to the province, and the region of Halton wants a request from the local council in order to initiate the process. By adopting the appropriate resolution now, we can assure that Regional Council would consider the request on February 19th at Planning and Public Works Committee, and again on February 26th at the full Regional Council meeting, which would provide the opportunity for the public to comment on the request. It is my opinion, and that of the two ward councillors, that this area meets the criteria established by the province with this process, and that it is time for these lands to be included within the Greenbelt. I would ask Councillor Elgar if he would like to read the actual resolution, and I'm expecting that it's a possibility that he and Councillor Lapworth might like to move and second it. Councillor Elgar, would you like to read it?
Absolutely, I'd be pleased to read this. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas the Council has since 2008 explored opportunities to expand the Greenbelt within the town of Oakville, and whereas the town and region had completed a study of the town's natural area and natural heritage lands to determine whether the lands would meet the Greenbelt criteria, and whereas it was concluded that the existing Greenbelt Plan would need to contain additional policies to reflect an urban context in order to provide the same level of protection as the regional and town policies, and whereas the province of Ontario most recently in 2012 responded to the town's request and created a new urban river valley designation for publicly owned lands and grew the Greenbelt to include the Glenorchy lands as an urban river valley, and whereas the region of Halton has recently received approval of the natural heritage system within the regional official plan through ROPA 38, which clearly identifies the 14-mile creek south of the Upper Middle Road north of the QEW heritage. Therefore, be it resolved that Council continue to pursue the growing of the Greenbelt and specifically request that the region endorse the addition of publicly owned natural heritage lands as well as publicly owned valley lands and town parks generally south of Upper Middle Road to the QEW as identified on the attached map to the Greenbelt Plan designated as Urban River Valley. And further, that the region request the province to include these lands within the Greenbelt Plan. And further, if necessary, to ensure the full protection of the lands to be designated Urban River Valley, the province be requested to remove the Parkway Belt Plan from these particular public lands. And I'm very pleased to move this, and I'd just like to say, this is just the beginning. I'm hoping we can do better as we move on through the months. So thank you very much.
Councillor.
I hope everybody have unanimous support for this.
Councillor, I need a seconder. Councillor Lapworth, thank you very much.
Yes, I'm
Are
very
there
happy to
other
second this.
speakers to
Thank you.
this? Then I'll call the vote. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries unanimously. Thank you, Council. Now, if I go back to my agenda, I believe we will find that we have no discussion items, confidential or otherwise, beyond these, and we now need a mover and seconder for consideration and reading of the bylaw. Councillor Dudek and Councillor Johnston, thank you. All those in favor? Opposed, if any, and the bylaw is adopted. That completes the agenda for this special council meeting. I thank you for your time and attention, and it's been great working with you, and we are adjourned.